My dream has always just been to put my name out, make a name for myself, and of course, get to the NBA, which is everyone's end goal. Is.
If you don't want to be known for being LeBron's son and just like an appendage of LeBron going wherever LeBron goes, then you'd go to any team that drafts you, right?
He would not be spoken about in the way Bronny James is, good or bad, because his father is not LeBron. That's the reason he is getting the opportunities that he has, because of his connection.
He will get drafted. He will get drafted probably in the second round because of his last name, yes.
Not very long. Not very long. I'm on the other side, obviously at the hill, so I'm not going to play another 20 years, that's for damn sure, but not very long.
Who do you want to play with?
Bronny is number one on my fucking list.
That's dope.
He's number one on my list that I want to play with for
You
sure.
want him to beat you?
Bronny James is the most polarizing college player in years, but more importantly, he's the most mysterious prospect of all time. How could we know so little about a kid who's been under the microscope since he was in 6th grade? Bronny has been intentionally hidden from the public eye. That's no secret. We didn't see him on social media until he turned 14, and really we still don't. Sure, we're treated to the occasional TikTok dance or Aiden Ross cameo, but fast forward, and the most hyped prospect of the 2024 draft has only done one interview. What are his strengths, his personality, his true height? What's his work ethic like? Ultimately, who is Bronny James? Is he his own man, or is he living out his father's fairy tale? For starters, his parents named him LeBron James Jr. This quickly became a problem that even LeBron acknowledged.
I still regret giving my 14-year-old my name because of that. The only thing I could do is give them the blueprint, and it's up to them to take their own course whenever that time happens.
Notice how LeBron doesn't refer to his only son, who's named after him, by his real name or his nickname. The battle for separation was on early for these two, but LeBron consistently muddied the waters. On one hand, he talked about the unreasonable amount of pressure he put on his son by naming him LeBron James Jr. But on the other, he publicly stated how his new dream was for his son to make the NBA and join his team. Now, quick note before we move on here, the NBA is not like the NFL or MLB. There are only 350 of these guys, and it's an international pool of talent. It's a league of 6'10 freaks who move like they're 5'10. Your father expecting you to make the NBA is crazy enough, but playing for the same team as him? That's a level of pressure that even LeVar Ball couldn't cook up. As a kid, Bronny seemed genuinely interested in becoming his own man. The earliest memory basketball fans have with him is 2015, when he refused to wear his father's number. He, quote, didn't want people to know who his father was. Kind of hard when your name is LeBron James Jr., but the intentions are clear and respectable. LeBron seemed like a proud dad in response. He told Complex, Bronny hates when they ask him for pictures and autographs, he won't even wear my number. The shadow bothered Bronny, and who can really blame him? It's not a pretty picture for sons of NBA legends. Michael Jordan's two sons both played college basketball. The oldest, Jeffrey, played 5 years and averaged 1.3 points, 1 assist, and less than a rebound per game. Marcus had a slightly better career, but also fell short of the league. You probably know him better for dating Scottie Pippen's ex-wife Larsa, which tells you all you really need to know. Bronny's I Am Bronny, Not LeBron campaign never really stopped, but we never heard it directly from him. Despite the James family being undoubtedly the biggest family in sports, Bronny was a mystery. Sure, he played ball and skyrocketed up the rankings, but something was way out of tune. Never before in the history of basketball coverage had the ratio of articles, blogs, and videos created to actual first-hand sourcing been so misaligned. Everyone was, and still is, discussing Bronny without knowing Bronny. The James family is no stranger to the media. They wanted to have their cake and eat it too here. They wanted Bronny to get all the hype, but they also wanted to force the media to the side. There's only really one way this mangled relationship can end: widespread speculation and resentment, and that's exactly what happened. People who have never heard Bronny James speak resent him. It's sad and unfortunate, but that's what happens when your family shrouds you in mystery. We never got to know the most interesting child star of his generation. We could watch his AAU highlights for days, but we never heard him say a word. I mean this literally. Most of us had no clue what he sounded like until he did his combine interview. Rational basketball fans figured this would change with Bronny arriving at USC. Surely the most hyped prospect in the country, who just made national headlines committing to a prestigious university, would have at least a few remarks or thoughts. We were wrong. It was silence from Bronny's end. And impossibly, that continued through the season. He never spoke to the media, not even before or after nationally televised games. Not one post-game presser, not a podcast, an interview, nothing. Labeling this as extremely strange is an understatement for a player of Bronny's caliber. Bronny questioning and flirting with Corinna was the closest look we got. I want you to pay extra attention here, because while it seems silly, Corinna actually says how we all feel.
Bronny!
What's up, buddy?
How are you? I'm scared my butt's gonna come out. Oh no.
Why are you looking at him like that?
He's like tall now and like his voice is deep and stuff.
You've never met him?
Yes, I have.
When?
I've met him.
As trivial as that conversation is, it's kind of perfect in symbolizing Bronny's mystique. Corinna, like the rest of us, doesn't know Bronny. She might know of him or have mutual friends, but she feels like she knows him. She's even surprised to hear his voice. Now, up to this point, the mystery of Bronny and the tug-of-war between him and his father had been strange, definitely, but nothing that serious had gone down. That changed July 24, 2023. Bronny collapsed in the middle of a workout at USC and was rushed to the hospital. He suffered cardiac arrest. Fortunately, he was going to recover, but his basketball career was in jeopardy. There was complete silence. No one from the family spoke on Bronny's health anywhere. In fact, the only information given to the media was a statement from a LeBron James Family Foundation rep. It read, quote, "It is an anatomically and functionally significant congenital heart defect which can be treated. We are very confident in Bronny's full recovery and return to basketball in the very near future." Thankfully, the statement proved to be true as Bronny was medically cleared to return after missing the first part of the USC season. Now, maybe due to his recovery or because he was an undersized young guard in a new league, Bronny failed to deliver at USC. He averaged just 4.8 points, 2.8 rebounds, and 2.1 assists per game on dreadful shooting splits. It is hard to sugarcoat just how forgettable his USC career was. In a down year for the Trojans, Bronny could hardly crack the rotation. For any other player in the world, declaring for the NBA draft with this resume would have been laughable, but LeBron turned up the heat. Rumors quickly spread that Bronny was considering transferring to Duquesne to play for LeBron's high school teammate Drew Joyce. LeBron was stuck. What was more important to him? Did he really want to just give his kids the blueprint and let them forge their own paths? Or was he dead set on achieving his own dream of sharing the floor with his son? Ask anyone who really knows basketball, and they'll tell you the obvious move for a kid in Bronny's position would have been returning to college for at least another year. LeBron had other ideas, namely his behind-the-scenes tactical weapon in Rich Paul, who knows exactly how to manipulate the draft. Paul is crafty and moves in silence, but this time he couldn't do it in complete silence. Finally, the time arrived for Bronny to give a real interview, and one of the reporters actually asked him about this very topic.
What went into the decision not to talk this season or do any interviews? Was that your call, or who's?
Just my team, stuff like that. Is, made decisions for me that would be best in that situation, current situation.
When you say your team, who do you mean there?
Just like my agency and stuff like that. Yeah.
What was the thinking there? I mean, what?
I couldn't tell you. I'm just going off what they were told.
The agency piece is key here. Clutch Sports is owned by Paul, who also is a close friend of LeBron's. He's become famous for an unorthodox style of meeting his clients' demands. He's the perfect man for this job because the demands are twofold and extremely unorthodox. Number one, get a player who on paper does not meet G League qualifications drafted into the NBA. Number two, get him to the Lakers and make it look organic. Bronny entered the draft combine ranked 98th, a sharp decline from his top 10 ranking heading into college. Again, for any other prospect, 98th is career suicide. There's only 58 picks in the draft. However, Bronny was impressive in the combine workouts and managed to catapult himself to 54th. Conveniently, that's one spot before the Lakers, who sit at 55th.
So much of what's transpiring seems so transparent, it's insulting. You have a situation where Bronny James is projected as ranked 98 on the talent pool. He goes to the NBA combine, Molly, and it drops 44 slots to 54. And the Lakers have the 55th pick in the second round. I mean, but really?
LeBron and Paul are veterans of the game. Publicly, they'll state Bronny and his father have let go of the idea of playing with each other, but is anyone really buying it? The actions don't match the words, and it goes deeper than the combine workouts. Paul's next move was a bold one. He stated Bronny would absolutely not sign a two-way contract. Essentially, this means he's not willing to be a player who gets called up and down between the G League and NBA. These deals are significantly less valuable. Two-way players can play in max 50 NBA games and are barred from competing in the playoffs. Now, it's commonplace for a second-rounder to sign a two-way deal. It's often beneficial long-term. They get more playing time in the G League. This goes without saying, but more often, it's a take it or leave it type of negotiation. Not with Paul, though. He's intentionally limiting Bronny's options here. Typically, the next move for a guy in Bronny's position is private workouts. Again, all very normal unless you're named after LeBron. Second rounders will take any meetings they're offered. This is a rare chance for teams to get to know you on and off the court, but the mystery continues with Bronny. This was the exact moment it became impossible for the James family to play both sides. I thought the turning point may have been when he measured 3 inches shorter than his listed height of 6'4" at the combine, but it wasn't. It was the private workouts. Bronny had a choice to make: live out his own dream or live out his father's. It was finally time to choose. Here's the first route. If he genuinely didn't want to be known as LeBron's son, he'd work out and play for any team that drafted him. Maybe it meant going undrafted. Doesn't matter. This is the grind every other player endures. Bronny went with Route 2, and it alienated him from 90% of basketball fans. It's hard to make the argument that you sympathize with a kid who's going out of his way to turn down opportunities. His potential identity as his own man evaporated as his father effectively gave him a free ticket into the league. This was LeBron's dream in full force, and there's video proof.
Somebody named Fred Taylor Jr., Channing Crowder Jr., Ryan Clark Jr. would not be afforded that opportunity. He would not be spoken about in the way Bronny James is, good or bad, because his father is not LeBron. That's the reason he is getting the opportunities that he has, because of his connection to his father, connection to the most powerful agent in basketball because of his father.
As the NBA draft approaches, the spotlight on Bronny James only intensifies. The moment the Lakers draft him, America will see right through it. The resentment will grow 10 times stronger because Americans don't root for the favorite. We root for the underdog, and that's not the route Bronny chose. His story remains unresolved, but it's barreling down the scope of a cautionary tale, one that illustrates the pitfalls of fame and privilege. Bronny's trapped himself in a cycle of manipulation and exploitation, with all roads leading back to his father, but again, nobody really knows him. He's dug himself a hole, but as far as I know, we still don't paint pictures in the box score. The only thing America loves more than an underdog is a winner. Moving forward, nobody will care how well Bronny's doing with FaZe Clan or Instagram. He doesn't have to become an all-star to win, but he does need to prove to the world he belongs in the NBA. Becoming a meaningful, reliable, and skilled rotational player would suffice. It's a hefty goal for a guy who stands 6'1" amongst a league of freaks, but if he can make it happen, he can write his own story.